Happy Halloween, trainers! Professor Palm here, and I'm wishing all of you out there a spooktacular day. I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday of the year. There's just so much to do. There are plenty out there having some parties tonight. There's also a good amount of scary movies on today, and some classic Halloween movies people can catch. But of course, I think what a lot of us are doing is going trick-or-treating. Who doesn't want to get some free candy tonight? I know that I loved doing it as a kid. Though, today is a bit of a scary day, as Ghost Type Pokemon are very active for Halloween, so be prepared for when they jump out and scare you. But, it is Halloween. Everyone's entitled to one good scare today. With Halloween being the darkest as well as the spookiest night of the year, you can guarantee that you'll be seeing a lot of active Ghost and Dark type Pokemon. But I also think that Ghost type Pokemon love this night of the year, considering that they see so many decorations of ghosts. And even people go as them. Just don't cut too many holes or you'll be getting rocks instead of candy tonight. Also, if you really think about it, it's like they have their own little tradition. And on Halloween, a lot of people have traditions out there. That's what makes the holiday so special. While Halloween is already a great holiday, personally, this is my favorite time of the year. I love autumn. It's one of the most beautiful times out there. It's not too hot, and it's not too cold either. Plus, there are so many beautiful colors all around. As looking at the leaves falling from the tree, you see orange, yellow, and red. The perfect colors that make you feel warm. But also, if you think about it, there's a lot of fun things that come out of the fall. Tons of traditions that people do. And of course, the harvest begins. This is when things start to get really good. You know what's one of my favorite traditions to do in the fall? Carving pumpkins. When I was a kid, I loved going to the pumpkin patch, picking out some pumpkins, then going home and making some really cool jack-o'-lanterns. Not to mention, taking out the seeds and even saving the guts of the pumpkin were great, as you can make some delicious food out of it. Pumpkin. Is there anything it can't make delicious? But I'd also say that seeing pumpkins always means to me that the fall has officially begun. And almost in every house today, you'll see a jack-o'-lantern. Speaking of which, if there was any Pokemon that I thought tells you that it's Halloween, there are two that always come to mind. After all, they are the pumpkin Pokemon themselves, Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist. When it comes to Pokemon that you can think of on Halloween, I don't think you could think of a Pokemon closer to it than our Jack-O-Lantern duo. And just like what's going to happen tonight, these Pokemon are full of surprises and lots of scares. But trust me, what these Pokemon can do is quite terrifying. Of all Ghost-type Pokemon that are going to be active tonight, both Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist are going to be everywhere tonight. These Pokemon are quite mischievous, as they love pulling little pranks on everyone. Unfortunately, they do have a rather dangerous sense of humor, which is also kind of where the idea of pulling pranks on Halloween started with these Pokemon. But I'd also tell you, be very careful around them. If either Pumpkaboo or Gourgeist want to take you trick-or-treating, don't go with them. Because if you do, you're not going trick-or-treating. You're going into the ghost world, as both Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist are soul collectors, so you're going to the other side. Something you may have noticed between both my Pumpkaboo and my Gourgeist is that one is bigger than the others. And the reason for that is actually, these Pokemon have an interesting quirk, as they have 4 different sizes that they can be. However, their size isn't based on the seeds that they have within them or the pumpkin guts. It's based on how many souls these Pokemon have devoured. The more devoured, the bigger they are. The less, the smaller they are. But all in all, it's pretty crazy to think that eating that also makes them as big as they are. Guess you could say, terror comes in many sizes. Despite these Pokemon looking so cute, you know that they steal souls. But did you know that these Pokemon also enjoy seeing the suffering of others? And also, they like to sing. But unfortunately, both Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist singing will curse you. Man, there's already a lot of terrible things going on with these Pokemon. They sure are a standout when it comes to Ghost-type Pokemon. And considering the fact that these Pokemon really love to attack and even can break the bones of so many others, I guess you could say that now our fruits and veggies are getting revenge on us for eating them. But you know what? We better eat our fruits and veggies before they eat us. You know, looking at both Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo is making me kind of tired. No. These Pokemon are going to try to steal my spirit and life force. They're not going to do it. I'm standing strong. And you know what? We should talk all about Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo. They might be very scary Ghost Type Pokemon, but today is the day of fear. Like I said, we're all entitled to one good scare. So yeah, I think we should talk about some of the scariest Pokemon ever. We're gonna go into the pumpkin patch and learn just what we need to know about our jack-o'-lantern Pokemon. And let's start off with the great pumpkin itself, Pumpkaboo! Pumpkaboo the pumpkin Pokemon is based on a pumpkin, taking inspiration from jack-o'-lanterns and carved pumpkins for Halloween. Its 4 different sizes originate from how pumpkins often come in many different sizes. Considering its fangs and black upper body and its affection with Halloween, Pumpkaboo also draws inspiration from black cats and bats with its small eyes and fang. And its fur spreading out also slightly represents wings. The tuft at the top of its head also represents the stem or the tail of a cat. If you want to find this runaway pumpkin to help with Halloween, you can find Pumpkaboo in the fields with other pumpkins, as well as in farmlands. And Pumpkaboo also like to live in forests and woods, as they love creepy areas. However, they can only be found at night, as they sleep during the day. Pumpkaboo is a Pokemon like no other, as instead of having a gender difference or a form difference like so many other Pokemon, it actually has a size difference with 4 different variants, as we have the small size, the average size, the large size, and of course, the super size of Pumpkaboo. And as you can tell, my Pumpkaboo is a super size variant. All sizes of Pumpkaboo are said to be products of the area where lost souls and spirits linger. Also, it shows how many live within the area. Their sizes grow due to the number of spirits that they absorb into their bodies. Their sizes can also decrease due to the number of collected souls that they eventually release into the ghost world for the afterlife. While Pumpkaboo look cute, these Pokemon are vicious monsters who prey and steal the life force of others. Their sizes also depend on what victims they prey on, as the smaller variant Pumpkaboo prefer to prey on the small children's spirits, while the larger variants of Pumpkaboo prey on the spirits of adults. The super-sized variants aren't picky and take whatever life force they can feast on. Other than using the power of the trapped souls to fly, the furry bodies of Pumpkaboo aren't just soft, but they also enable Pumpkaboo to float in the wind. And the fuzzy tuft on top of them acts like a pair of wings, which help Pumpkaboo not only stay airborne, but also help them ride the air current to travel to faraway places. If you come face to face with Pumpkaboo, do not look directly at the yellow eye holes in its pumpkin side, as it will flash a powerful light. And the light that streams out of its holes can hypnotize and control whoever stares at it. Under their control, Pumpkaboo will gradually eat the spirit of its possessed victim. It's believed that Pumpkaboo has 4 eyes, and these 4 yellow eyes can see spirits and souls in the wind. They can even tell which are pure and which are not. Pumpkaboo usually prefer to swallow the impure souls, taking all the negative energy, which makes them very happy. These Pokemon also are known to help Dusk Noir take lost souls to the afterlife. The bigger Pumpkaboo is, the stronger its defense is, especially when in battle. Because of how many spirits this Pokemon absorbs, it feels less pain the bigger it is. Smaller Pumpkaboo are much more vulnerable to battle due to having less spirits inside of them. As the sun sets, Pumpkaboo becomes very active, and the spirits and souls within inside its body make this Pokemon quite restless. On many occasions, Pumpkaboo will flare up for battle, and it will challenge anyone it sees, even if it's disadvantaged. Any opponent that it manages to beat in battle will also lose their soul, as Pumpkaboo will collect it as a trophy. It doesn't matter the size of Pumpkaboo, it'll cause terror of all proportions. In this case, bigger is badder, and the nightmare has only begun, as once we trade treats, the freak show really begins. But it is the night of horror, so I think it's the best time to see the freak show in action. So let's evolve Pumpkaboo into Gourgeist. Looks like the Great Pumpkin has arrived. You might want to be careful around this Pokemon, as it's full of surprises, and tonight being Halloween, who knows what horrors await us. Oh, Gourd. Gourgeist the pumpkin Pokemon is based on pumpkins, specifically jack-o'-lanterns and carved pumpkins for Halloween, but it also takes inspiration from gourds. Its 4 different sizes originate from how pumpkins come in many different sizes. The tuft on its hair on its head resembles a stem of a pumpkin, and its body shape also is somewhat representational of a candle. Gourgeist's appearance also is depicted by Baba Yaga from Slavic folklore, who was a long-haired woman that prayed and ate children. It also is based on the character Owai from Japanese tales of a woman who could transform into a paper lantern with long hair. If you want to find this great pumpkin to go trick-or-treating, you can find Gourgeist in the fields with other pumpkins as well as in the farmlands. Gourgeist also live in the forest and woods as they love creepy areas. However, Gourgeists are only active during the night as they sleep underground tucked into their pumpkin shell during the day. Just like with its previous evolution of Pumpkaboo, Gourgeist, instead of having a gender difference or a form difference like so many other Pokemon, instead has a size difference with 4 different variants, as there is the small size, the average size, the large size, and of course, the super size of Gourgeist. And, as you can tell, my Gourgeist is an average size variant. When it comes to all their sizes, Gourgeist will always put on an act in order to get itself the souls it needs in its body. Small Gourgeists like to pretend to be children to fool adults, while large always pretend to be adults to lure children to take their spirits. The supersized don't care. All they want is to feast on all the spirits that they capture. Gourgeist is a wicked Pokemon, as it will forcefully drag anyone it meets to the afterlife. By ensnaring their hair-like arms around the prey, once they latch on, they will never let go. And there's no way that you can escape from an iron-like grip from its hair hands. This Pokemon is so twisted that just seeing its prey suffer will put a big smile on Gourgeist's face. Gourgeist's arms may be made of hair, but they're as strong as a pro wrestler's arms. This Pokemon can grab almost anything it needs with both its 2 hair-like hands. Even fighting-type Pokemon would be overwhelmed when wrestling with Gourgeist. If their prey is within their grasp, they will not let go, and if they're struggling, Gourgeist will break the bones of a prey with just a single snap of their hair-like hands. Similar to its previous evolution, Pumpkaboo, if you ever come face-to-face with Gourgeist, don't look directly at the jack-o'-lantern pumpkin face, as it will flash a powerful light in your face. And the light that streams out of its holes will hypnotize and control whoever stares at it. Under Gourgeist's control, not only will you be its mindless puppet, but Gourgeist will also eat your spirit whole. Gourgeist just loves to sing, and it does this every night under a new moon. Each of their sizes also affects the pitch in their voice. Sometimes the bigger they are, the higher the pitch is. They sing in very eerie voices, and you better not stick around to hear the song. Anyone who hears their creepy voices and the song is cursed. Since Gourgeist live in packs along with their previous evolution Pumpkaboo, oftentimes the supersized one gets to be the leader. However, it's not the size that counts, it's the spirits that these Pokemon have collected that give them their rankings when in a patch. So, in other words, the one with the highest kill count always gets to be the leader. Who would have guessed that pumpkins are so scary? Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist sure are the perfect Pokemon for Halloween, as these Pokemon sure have lots of surprises for us. With today being Halloween, I think we need a good scare, and Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist sure know how to bring the fear factor on the day of screams. All Pokemon has some cool things about them, and here are some Halloween fun facts and tidbits about our jack-o'-lantern Pokemon, Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist. Of all 4 sizes of Pumpkaboo that can be found in the wild, supersized Pumpkaboo is the most rare Pokemon that can ever be encountered, as Pumpkaboo's supersized variant in all games only has a 1% encounter or spawn rate. Gourgeist is a member of Diantha's team during her champion battle, and since all of Diantha's Pokemon have 1 stat as their highest, Diantha's average size Gourgeist is her defender, having the highest defense stat of all 6 of her Pokemon. In the Pokemon trading card game, despite Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist being introduced to the game over a decade ago, they still do not have any full rare art print cards, even as promotional art. When it comes to the sizes of both supersized Pumpkaboo and supersized Gourgeist, their cries have a lower pitch than their other counterparts. Take a listen and you'll hear the difference. Both Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo have a signature Ghost-type move, being Trick or Treat. This move takes either of our pumpkin Pokemon's faux trick-or-treating, adding the Ghost-type to their target. Every Pokemon has something special that they can do. We call these quirks that can be used in or out of battles abilities. For Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist, they can have one of two. The first ability they could have is Pickup. Whether or not in or out of battle, these Pokemon act as collectors, as they have a chance of picking up an item, which can be very helpful if you like collecting items on your journey. If you don't like that ability, you can use the ability capsule to change it, or find another one, the secondary ability, Frisk, which allows Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo to peek at their opponent and see what kind of items they have, and if you should be warned of what they're holding. However, if you like battling with hidden abilities that Unova gave to us, then use the ability patch on Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist and you'll unlock their hidden ability, Insomnia. This will never allow our pumpkin Pokemon to sleep, as they love to stay up and cause mischief all night. Despite Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist being Grass-type Pokemon and being weak to Fire-type moves, both our pumpkin Pokemon can learn Fire-type moves through TM. This is a clear nod to them both being jack-o'-lanterns that usually have light and fire within inside them for Halloween night. Because of their different sizes, Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist have different weights and heights. Surprisingly though, all Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo have the same exact base stat totals. But the one thing that does vary between their sizes is their HP stats, as all of Pumpkaboo's HP stats increase by 5 points depending on its size. And the same happens for Gourgeist, except it increases by 10 points for its size. And Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist are seen as the counterparts to Phantump and Trevenant, as both these lines are dual-type Ghost and Grass-type Pokemon. Only via trade do both Phantump and Pumpkaboo evolve into Trevenant and Gourgeist. And both lines also learn a signature move that adds a type to the target. Interestingly enough, the type they added is also the two typings that make up their dual typing. Halloween sure is the best day and night for giving all the heebie-jeebies. Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist love to scare both people and Pokemon alike, as their feast on fear powers them up. But even Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo can get scared and fall victim to the fear that they enjoy, as almost all Pokemon have weaknesses, and both Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist being Ghost-type and Grass-type, these pumpkin Pokemon will go splat when they're hit by super effective moves that are Flying-type, Ghost-type, Fire-type, Dark-type, and Ice-type. Oh my gourd! 5 weaknesses for Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist. I guess many Pokemon love doing the Monster Mash, especially with our pumpkin Pokemon. However, Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo, just like the spirits are in them, are quite terrifying when they have the upper hand. And with the Halloween spirits, they become such scary ghouls, as their Ghost-type and Grass-type moves get great stab as they do massive damage to Pokemon of Water-type, Psychic-type, Rock-type, Ghost-type, and Ground-type. Wow, what a comeback with 5 strengths on top of the 5 weaknesses. While pumpkins are tough, they can be very scary like jack-o'-lanterns. But who knew that they could be very scary in a battle? However, with both our creepy pumpkin Pokemon sporting the Ghost typing, both Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist have immunities, as they won't feel anything when they're hit by attacks that are Fighting type, as those punches and kicks will go right through their bodies, and Normal type, as they feel no pain. However, Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo can't hurt normal types with their own Ghost-type moves. With all their weaknesses, all their strengths, and even their immunities, you better be careful when you're in a pumpkin patch on Halloween, as Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist will wrap their vines around you and pull you into the ground for a dirt nap. Man, looking back at the Sinnoh games, Gardenia was right to fear grass Ghost-type Pokemon, because Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist just might be some of the most terrifying Pokemon ever. While jack-o'-lanterns can be made pretty scary, Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist take the fear factor to a whole new level, especially how they enjoy taking Pokemon, children, and adults alike to the afterlife. Who would have guessed that such a cute little pumpkin Pokemon could be such wicked monsters? Halloween just might be their favorite night of the year, especially with what Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo can do, and how easy it is to lure unsuspecting victims to their doom on the night of fear. When it comes to the talents of Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo, there's no treats found with these pumpkins, only tricks. It's crazy to think that inside both Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist are so many lost spirits, and the bigger these two are, the more they feasted on, giving them their huge size. It scares me to even face both our pumpkin Pokemon, as just looking at their other set of eyes will immediately put you in a hypnosis with a bright light. And then, through this trance, they'll open up their mouths and eat your soul to add to their collection. Man, how much scarier can you get being feasted on? While I do love pumpkins, and I think the food that they're put in is always amazing and is so delicious, I think it's best for us to eat our fruits and veggies, because if we don't, Pokemon like Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo that are fruits and veggies will eat you. Despite how terrifying our Pokemon of the pumpkin patch are, I always found the 4 sizes of both Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist a really cool quirk they had. I guess we won't be waiting all Halloween night for the great pumpkin to appear. I also found it kind of cool how their base stats between all 4 sizes shift, but their base stat totals never do. Considering that we have a lot of Pokemon based off of fruit and veggies, and that seeing that growing can get very massive, I think some Pokemon should be like Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist, just without the soul collecting, as I think when it comes to feasting, we want a big meal supersized from the harvest. With their love of fear and pulling pranks, today's the best day for Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist. But with their scary sense of humor, I have no idea what's coming. So I'd say be afraid. Be very, very afraid of Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo and what they might pull. I guess these Pokemon are the ones who invented the idea of trick-or-treating because of all the things they do under a full moon and on All Hallows Eve. Then again, today is Halloween, and everyone is entitled to one good scare. But oh Gord, if Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist take you somewhere tonight, you may never come back, as they might take you to your doom in the afterlife through the pumpkin patch. Welcome back, trainers! I hope all of you came back. I really wish that Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist did not steal your life energy. But I will say this though, these Pokemon sure are some of the most unique ghost types and probably might be some of the scariest ones out there. Thankfully, I still have my life force, and also, it is Halloween. I do need to go get some candy for the trick-or-treaters tonight. But before we end this, I just have a few questions for you. The size quirk that both Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist have really is a unique thing. If any other Pokemon had the ability to change their size, do you think that should happen to more vegetable and fruit-based Pokemon, considering that they can grow very big? Or do you think it's better that they're the only Pokemon with this quirk? Since Dark-type and Ghost-type Pokemon are going to be the most active tonight, which is a Pokemon typing you really don't want to see under a full moon on Halloween? We sure have met a lot of Ghost-type Pokemon over the years. Who do you think is one of the scariest Ghost types out there? But also, what's one of your favorite Ghost-type Pokemon, and what's the best Ghost-type move? If you happen to be going trick-or-treating tonight, what are you going as? Also, if you're handing out candy or you're expecting to get some tonight, what's your favorite candy to get on Halloween? And of course, Day of the Dead is coming up, a day where we reflect on the ones who were there but are no longer with us. This year, I'm thinking about my grandpa for Day of the Dead. Is there someone that you lost this year? If you are, who are you thinking about? I hope that all of you enjoyed the spooky season, and it was fun to end it with both Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist. But I also hope that many of you enjoyed opening Trick or Trade with me and seeing what came out of there. Maybe I'll do it again next year, if you want me to, that is. But I'm hoping all of you have a spooktacular day. It's Halloween, so go have fun and make your Halloween traditions happen. If you liked what you saw, please leave a like. If you have any questions, you want to answer any of the questions I threw at you, you have an idea that you want turned into a video, you want me to cover something in the Pokemon current events, or there's something that you need me to talk on, or a Pokemon, then please comment. And as always, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, smash the subscribe button. As a Pokemon professor, it's my job to teach trainers like all of you, so please share my videos to as many as you can. Thanks for watching, trainers. Until then, Palm out.